Hey YouTube, and thank you for watching Junkworks DIY Garage. Well, we're doing some modifications of this. I did a build video already of this. I'm not sure what other videos are going to come out, but I got a few videos that had to deal with the Harbor Freight roll around 5-drawer cart. First modification I actually did when I was putting it together. In fact, I ended up putting the wheels on twice because I decided I wanted the roll around ones. And also something else you've seen, but we'll use the roll around. Basically, it's something that a lot of people have done. You buy the Harbor Freight wheels that look the same, only they're blue. Most people change the black ones out that come with it and put actually they take these blue tires and put them on that black one. Well, I cheaped out and didn't get the locking ones, and I am a little bit regretting that, because now when I put it up against the wall here, if I keep it shoved against this side, I'm okay, and then I can lock it on this side, but I can't lock it on that side. So sometimes it'll kind of move around a little bit, but once I get it kind of jammed against there, it all works good. So I'm pretty happy with that all in all. And the reason why I kept these wheels is because they're blue, which brings me to my second modification. And that's my paint scheme. I went with a blue and green. See if by the end of this video you can kind of figure it out. I still haven't gotten everything I wanted to make it work, but this is a toolbox in progress, so to speak. So there you go. But I went ahead, and this is actually the blue Harbor Freight side tray. But all the bolts that came with it, I painted the heads blue, which I have a video kind of on how to do that. But I used this right here. And it's the Rust-Oleum Painter's Choice 2X Ultra Cover Paint and Primer. And it is gloss. Now, here's the thing about this. I've had this sitting in my house forever and don't know where I got it from or what I bought it for. It was a brand new can, never been opened, and it matches perfectly. But the chances of this matching perfectly still, who knows what, probably depends on what batch you get. And I do plan on doing some more accents. I'm planning on painting this blue. And like I said, the wheels are blue. But do that, don't do that, that's up to you. Now, if anybody knows of a good color match out of a spray can for the green, I would appreciate a comment left below, because I will be doing some more things in my garage, and I would like to kind of do this theme. And then one more kind of custom thing. I got this a long time ago at Sears, or yeah, it was at Sears because it's Craftsman. The cool thing about this is it has a way to hang it on your wall. Well, instead of hanging it on my wall, I took some magnets, because now I can bring it around with me if I want. These are actually magnets off of one of the Harbor Freight trailers that I take the magnets off and just use the lights for them. And part of my modifications is I'm taking these stickers off. Yet again, I took that off as well. Not because I'm embarrassed that it's a US General. I really don't give a rip. But quite honestly, I just don't like the big sticker up here. I think it will look cleaner without it. And I was able, all but that spot there, to just kind of yank it off. And let's see, it doesn't feel like there's any real sticky stuff here at all, so that makes me pretty happy. So I'm going to finish tearing that off. Just thought I'd throw this in for the modification, so to speak. Real easy to pull that off. Well, there. Next modification, I got these grommets here. I got them on Amazon. These ones here. But like I was saying, they don't really go in very well, especially once they're in the hole. They're pretty tight. They're fairly tight. So my plan was to open them up, and what I ended up with is this cheapy Harbor Freight step bit here. And this is where if you do something I do and you hurt yourself, I'm not responsible. It's probably not the smartest way, but I could not figure out a way to hold this very well. So I'm just holding it in my fingers. And I'm going very slow. You do not have to do a lot. And then I kind of run it backwards a little bit to kind of clean it out. And then I turn around and do it the other side too. And that opens up that hole really good, so you can put these in a lot easier. Back doing some more modifications here, and quite honestly, I'm decided I don't like the grommet thing as much, mainly because the holes aren't exactly, they end up being smaller than I want them to be for some things. I'm not going to ever close the top of this box, probably ever, and that was one thing about this box, is that when things like this are in there, you're not going to close the box. But I decided that's where I want to put my pry bars over in here instead. So I came up with another idea that I think will look a little bit nicer and work a little bit better. And I went and bought some more of this stuff. Actually, I've had this kind of laying around because I've done videos in the past, some little short snippets here and there of how I make the tool holders out of these. I'm not the first person to do it. I did try this and use this before I saw it on YouTube, but now I've seen other people do it too, so I won't claim to be the first one to do it. But regardless, you start out with that pack. Usually you can get those real cheap on sale. Use your 20% off coupon, whatever. And you get these here, and you cut them down. Now, what I found is for this area right here is where I'm putting this. It's 2 inches, which if you're using one of these to cut this up already, it's exactly the size between here and here, and it fits in there perfectly. And then you got to cut a little bit off of one of the ends. That's what I ended up cutting off of it all in the. Now I put that in there, and then on the other side I went through and kind of tried to mark it. Obviously this is the first time I'm seeing it. It didn't mark great, but I think this will give me a pretty good idea of where to drill some holes. So I'm going to go do that. I don't know if I'm going to cut them or drill them. I'll see how the drill bit works and go from there. Not the prettiest holes. The best way to actually make these work is to heat something up the size that you want it and melt right through it, but I don't like the smell, and this isn't going to really super be seen anyway. And I've decided, that's something about this too, you can have, there's flat side and then there's the bumpy side. I'm going to go with bumpy side up. Since I'm not really using any of the rest of these holes right now, I'm just going to wait to drill them when I need to. And I'll start with the big one and go to the small one. And yet again, this is one of those things, I can let it go and it bounces. So that's pretty darn nice. And yet again, they were already sticking up. This one doesn't stick up, but all the rest of them are sticking up. So if you want to close your box, this isn't necessarily going to work. And then I actually, when I was doing this, poked a hole through up here somewhere, but now I can't see it. So I'm going to go up underneath here and try and find it again. Somewhere in there, there's a hole. I can stick that through, and I like that better than the grommet. You can drill your holes wherever you want. It's nice. It doesn't hit, well, unless you hit the stuff on the bottom, but that doesn't damage things. One thing I will say, taking the grommet off that I took off that was in this area, I did accidentally peel some of the paint, and I went ahead and took a Sharpie and Sharpied over it, so hopefully it won't rust. If it, at least it'll last a little bit longer that way. But there's that side. I'm going to go ahead and do this side as well, and the cool thing about that is I never could get a grommet that was big enough for this one, and now the way I'm doing it, every hole that I need to use will be able to be used. It's definitely a little bit more customizable, I guess you would say. If you don't want these big holes that are this size, you could drill it smaller or whatever you need. And like I said, I'm not using some of them, so I'm just going to cover them up, and I can throw pins or pencils down there or whatever I want down in that hole, and you don't have to worry about stuff falling through as well. A couple things. One, make sure they're big enough to go through, because if they catch, this comes up. I may glue this down at some point, but for right now I'm going to live with it because I've gotten it to where they come in and out. The only one I really have a problem with is this right here, and that seems to be, as I use it, the more the more it seems to be working. So, other point here, and I guess you could call this a kind of another version of this, is I have these here, and as you see, they'll fall over. So I cut this little piece here, and I did it quite a bit thicker than that, so it'll jam down in there and make a nice little pocket for these, and they're not going to fall over. And that's pretty stiff in there. And a couple holes for pins. I just kind of did shallow. I kind of, after the thought, figured out I probably could have just done that, but regardless, I got holes now, so we'll put that there. And that's kind of the cool thing about this, and kind of a good and bad thing. This is so cheap that I can redo this anytime I want, but if you change things, you're buying another thing of that, because once you change tools or anything like that, you're set. Once you make the hole, it's set. So one upside and one downside to it, but I will say I really like that. Not that I abuse and drop my tools a lot, but sometimes accidents happen, and that just kind of will keep it from making a bunch of noise. So I'd kind of already made a video on this, but unfortunately I lost the footage, and so we're going to go back, and I'm just going to kind of tell you after the hand what the story is here on this. As you can see, this is just to kind of keep it so that you can drop things on there. They don't roll around, they don't fall off. And what I started out with was, I had some of this, is like I talked about in the past, where I have shipping container stuff and I pull it out and I use it for stuff like this. And I had this on here, and I was going to glue it on or tack it on, and I didn't like the looks of it, so I waited a while. And I realized it ruins the whole blue theme, so to speak. The green and blue, by putting the black stuff on here. So then I actually found some more shipping stuff here, and it works pretty good. It's blue, but it's kind of the wrong color blue. But I lived with that for a little while, and it's thick, so things actually were rolling off and falling off on the ground because it's quite a bit above this. So I was walking through Harbor Freight and I actually saw this, and what this is like tread for like steps. They actually have some longer ones that I've actually used. I haven't actually used them on my house. The only thing is that on those, the stickum stuff did actually quit. It let loose, so I ended up stapling them to my treads. But since I done that, haven't had any more problems. So that helped me kind of two ways. I realized that this sticky stuff that's on the bottom of this probably will come off of here later if I decide to do something different. And although it's black, it's a good size. I actually measured from all angles to make sure it's dead center, and you still get a lot of the blue. So it's working out really well. I've been very happy with it. I've actually been using it this way for a while, and so there you go. Then the next kind of modification slash, it's really not modifying the box, but it's making the box more useful. And I've said before, I don't know, depending on how this ends up cutting together, I kind of showed you this here already when I did that, and then I've done a lot more since. And basically it's making it so that you can use all this by magnets. I'm not the first one to come up with it, but the idea behind the different things I've got going here are all these magnets off the Harbor Freight trailers. And this is a Harbor Freight Allen wrench set here, and I just screwed a screw through that into the back of this. Now I will admit that the screw kind of hits a little bit on this middle one, so it gets a little bit more stuck, but it's working good. I can pull them off and on when I need to. I can set them there. Something else I did Same thing, these are razor blades, and you pull them out from the bottom or push them out this way and then they come out. So I got some of those up here. Got my razor knife hooked to the bottom of that. So, you know, all in all, this is, like I said, it's not really toolbox modifications, but it is a way to make your toolbox more useful. Same thing here, I got some of these. These are for electrical tape, to put your tapes inside of and things. I put another one of those magnets that I had, screwed it to the bottom of this and into this little piece here, and now you can use these to open up, and I have razor blades in this one here. So one of those things that comes in handy, a different use for the tape thing, as well as you can use those for, I use those for nuts and bolts and screws and all kinds of things. Also, we got this here, another magnet, and one side is a little bit less sticky than the other side, or not sticky but magnetic. So I put the stronger magnet there, and usually I can pull this off and on without it coming off. Every now and then, if you get it just right, like I did the last time, if you pull straight out on it, it'll come out. But usually I put it down here on the bottom and then I just kind of pull it off. That just gives you a place to put that where it's out of the way. I'm actually going to move that over. I actually have another one of these I had over here with a few other things, but it's not here right now and I don't know where I set it, so I'll find it later. Magnetic, light, Harbor Freight. Oh, there we go. Always handy. So, well, you have to deal with the barking dog in the background because I need to get this done, and I'm sitting out here in my pajamas trying to film this because somehow I lost this footage as well. There's a couple videos that I had some trouble with an SD card of mine that went away. Anyways, what it is I talked about in there, because I kind of didn't even realize I had lost it, but I talked about in there fixing these so that you can just pull these out and not have to pull on the lock here. And what it is, if you pull out, I'll do it on this one, on that, I got a 7/16 inch nut right there that when you pull these out, it leaves a space up here in between the latch here, and if you put that just sideways, stick it in there, then that keeps this open. Now I've been using this for months now and I've never had any of them fall out. There are ones where somebody's used a dowel and somebody's used a nut similar to this one. This one just seemed easier to go through my nut drawer and nuts and bolts stuff and find what works, and it works really well. And to boot, I can still move this around and it doesn't seem to fall open at all. I haven't had any problems with it because it still has a bit of a, right off the bat you have a little bit of a tug and then it pulls out. So these are pretty well in there as it is, so I haven't had any problems. I haven't had anything fall out from underneath here by doing that. It all seems to work. Whether or not that'll ruin this mechanism after a while because the spring will get compressed, that's yet to be known, but honestly I don't care. This is more functional for me, but to each their own. Well, YouTube, I have been using this for quite a while now, so I thought I'm just going to go ahead and finish this up because I'm kind of at a stuck point where I'm not sure exactly how I want to do everything yet. So I've done a few modifications. I'm sure there will be more to come, so keep an eye out for those. But quite honestly, it's been several months I've been working on this, and I'm just at one of those points where I need to kind of figure out what tools am I actually going to need in here and what tools am I not. And also at the point where I'm kind of feeling out how I want to use things. Something I have decided, as you can see up here, the mess of tools. So this is what I do. I work until I finish whatever it is I'm doing or need to stop, and I throw my tools up in the top here. That is just kind of how I've done it. I used to have a bucket on the side of that toolbox. I actually still have the bucket right there that I throw the tools in for this when I get stuff out of here. And anyway, so I've decided that's how I want to use this. I'm pretty sure that all the tools I really want in here are in here now. As you can see, there's kind of part of my green and blue theme going on there. My daughter got me those. Thank you very much to my daughter. A couple little ones on the front there. And anyhow, so I'm still working on it, but I kind of thought I should probably finish this up. So all in all, I'm really loving it. Like my theme, I am going to do a little bit more painting, get a few more stickers at some point to put on here. I do not like these here. I need to figure out a way to label this better than those. I like those on my other box, but I can't see them. As you can see from where I'm standing, I can't see what's actually in there. In the end, for now, I have metric stuff here, kind of all my ratcheting metric stuff here. I got my non-ratcheting metric stuff there. I have electrical stuff here, which I'm liking this drawer. It looks kind of messy, but it's actually working pretty well for me for now. Then all my sockets, both metric and standard, in this drawer. So I know I don't like that. It is just definitely not working, but it's better than nothing and all this stuff rolling around in the drawer for now. So at some point I want to get something better for all of this drawer. But right now it's kind of, I'm still figuring out what I want to be in here. I have an idea of what I want to do, but what I'm going to do is kind of a permanent thing. So therefore, if I do it now and realize I don't want something or I want something more, then I got to redo the whole thing. So right now I'm just living with everything as organized as I can. And then this bottom drawer is all my standard, both ratcheting and non-ratcheting things. A few of my line wrenches, those kind of things. So for right now, that's what I have. Yet again, when I get to the point where I can organize this stuff a little better the way I want to, I have realized, like here, I brought my 3/4 over here. Even though I have ratcheting ones, I like having these if I really got a reef on something, and I have noticed I've used 3/4 at least lately more often, so I threw them in here. So things are going to change as time goes on, and I am thinking I want to try and get all of my bigger wrenches even in this drawer, just so that they're all in the same place. I really don't like having things separated. I know it's something I should get over and do, but we're going to live with it this way for now. Then down there I have, it's not oil. There's actually parts for different projects that I have coming up. That's kind of turned into, this is where my parts are going to be for whatever I got coming up, whether it be video or not, and things I need to do. That box doesn't have oil, it has parts and pieces in it as well. Then we got this over here. Got my cans of things that I use the most sitting in here. I've actually really do like this. I've realized I'm glad I put it on there. I thought about not putting it on there, and I'm glad I did. But all in all, I am super ecstatically happy with what I paid for this and how well it's worked out. It is a very good toolbox. I don't care what anybody says for the price. I know there's better ones out there, but they're not worth the money. I mean, they just aren't worth. They don't do enough better. Like I've said in the past, they aren't enough better than this to spend that kind of money. They just aren't. And you know, if I had money to blow, I would have, you know, I would go ahead and go out there and buy a lot of the higher money and higher dollar things. But there's a lot of it I wouldn't as well, just because I think a lot of it's a waste of money as well. But regardless, to each their own. I am very happy with this box. So far it's working out really well for me. I think for now I'm going to live with it a little longer until I can get it perfect, or at least as close to it as I can get. And until then, I'm going to call this a video. Thanks for watching Junkworks DIY Garage, where I'm proud to say I'm a jack of all and I'm master of none. You all have a good one.